Okay, a regular video, a story. Do I look creepy? Would I look creepier if it was red? Yeah, doesn't matter. It's comfortable. So, there is a lot of talk in the paranormal community, debunker community, about pareidolia, where your brain gets input, whether it's something you hear or something you see, and your brain tries to make sense of it by putting it into something familiar. So smudges on a window could look like a face, or light patterns in a photograph could look like somebody standing there. There's hundreds of examples, but I'm on the other side. Yes, there can be pareidolia. Yes, some things are not what they seem. But I think sometimes things are dismissed because people go, oh, it's just pareidolia, instead of investigating it and realizing, hey, this isn't just, this is real. I mean, I don't know how many times, skeptics are becoming more cynical, I would have to say. Because I see a lot of skeptics just dismissing things out of hand without it being proved one way or the other. Or they can't debunk it, but whether the people have done falseness in other videos, or the debunker just doesn't want to admit that it could be paranormal, they'll dismiss things that they can't explain. So, but anyway, this is not about that. This is about smelling things that shouldn't be there, and that there's no reason for them to be there. And basically, my sense of smell sucks. My honey's sense of smell was very sharp, and she would tell me when there was something bad around or something. She was a sniff tester. So that's what makes this more important, maybe more valid to me, is I don't smell random smells on accident. So if, and sometimes it's been verified by other people, and there was no reason for this to be happening, for whatever I smelled to be there, such as cigarette smoke in a house, an isolated house with a non-smoking occupants, not near anything where it could have drifted in, but there's the smell of burning cigarette smoke. There was also a wall around the chair I used to sit in. There was the smell of myrrh. I can't explain what myrrh smells like. I know what it smells like. It's like, if you know what bread baking smells like, then you know that smell. And I know the smell of myrrh. I work a lot with different incense, resins, but there was nothing burning on any of these occasions. There had been nothing burned or used in any time around these about a week that I could smell myrrh at my chair. And if I got up and walked a couple feet to the side, I couldn't smell it anymore. It was very localized. And sometimes sense of smell will help me at least give me an indication of who might be around. As I believe some spirits announce their presence with smells, aromas. So, sometimes it's a perfume or a cleaning substance they like to use. I've smelled Clorox where there shouldn't be any Clorox. I've smelled perfume where there is no perfume. These are my experiences. And smell itself is the hardest to document because, you can't take a picture of it. It's not going to appear on a recording. I don't know. There's probably a very expensive machine that can measure the air and tell you what's in it, but I don't have that. Can't afford it if I did have it. So anyways, in the recent weeks, well, I've gotten into watching a lot of creepypasta. And I have my own beliefs around the subject of cryptids, particularly cryptids that are part of Native American folklore, Native American rituals and beliefs. And since I believe these things, I take precautions like Native Americans would take when talking about these things or viewing these things. So I burn a lot of sage and cedar. Yes, there was a cut there because the dog and the cat all got riled up, and I had to pause so that they could settle themselves and get out of my office, get off my lawn. Okay, so basically, according to my beliefs, there's certain rituals you undertake to protect yourself from negative entities, and particular negative entities like skinwalkers, wendigos, things from Native American history. So anyway, when I'm watching these creepypastas that have to do with some of these specific beings, I burn sage or cedar to clear the air, to keep me safe from the boogeymans. And so I know that smell very well. So about maybe a week ago, I drove somewhere. It was a 2-hour drive one way, and I drove over, got my business done, and was driving back and decided, okay, we're going to listen to some of our creepypasta on YouTube. So I turned on my usual scary cryptid stories, and I was listening to them, particularly one about the skinnies. You can figure out what that means, because I don't like to, it's not good to use the word too frequently, because the lore is, you can call negativity towards you with your words, and I think that's quite true. But anyway, so I'm riding in the car, and all of a sudden, the car fills with heavy smell of sage burning. And I look around, I look everywhere. There's nothing burning outside the car. There's no plume of smoke. There's no backyard fires. There's nothing that this smell could have come from. And also the fact that there is no sage anywhere in the local area. It doesn't grow here. And really neither does cedar either. Those are more high altitude desert plants, not semi-tropical deciduous forest places. So I smelled this, and it lingered for probably a few minutes, and then it was gone. And as I was driving on, listening to my stories, and it got to another story on the same subject a little while later, this car again filled with the smell of sage burning, of a sage smudge burning. And again, there was nothing outside, there was nothing in the car, there was nothing, I hadn't changed any of the settings, messed with the heater, there was nothing burning outside, there was nothing. And this came out of nowhere and lasted a few minutes, and then it dissipated. Did I really smell something? I say yes. My opinion, my experience says, yeah, this was in my car. The question is, why? And my opinion is that there's spirits all around us all the time. They don't necessarily want to make themselves known. But they're around us. Some of them protect us. I think it was a protection spirit that heard what I was playing and knew that it was unsafe for me to be listening to that without proper precautions, and so they spread the smell of sage, the smudge. Literally, they smudged the inside of my Jeep with me in it. Twice. So that's my most recent experience, and take it or leave it, I believed it happened. Well, it did happen. I can't prove it to you. There's no empirical evidence, only that I know what happened. So I know it's real. So there you have it. Another short video about a spiritual experience that I had recently. You all have a good night.